Good morning. You know what time it is? It's coffee time. That's right, with Michael Sanchez. How's everyone doing today? Sorry, a little late. Technical things. You know how that goes. But I'm here. It's all that matters. And I'm happy that you guys are here listening as well. It looks like I got Lala. Lorraine Carey is going to be here. Dale Phillips is going to be here. And Jeff Otis, great authors. We'll talk about the topic today, beta readers. So we're going to explore that topic today. Last week I had a great discussion regarding rewriting difficult scenes. That was enjoyable. I love that. So today we're going to talk about again beta readers. To my friend there, Lorraine, uh, was concerned about that, but like I said, we'll talk more about it. Got a little article here. It was regarding beta readers. This says beta readers: who, when, why, and so what. It says beta readers, unlike critique partners or editors, are usually unpaid non-professionals who give feedback prior to a book's publication. There's no exchange of manuscripts, no expectation of advice about how to fix whatever weaknesses they find. They're civilians, proxies for our future readers. Typically, they're people we know, if not personally, then through a friend or writing community. We trust them enough to test our books on them and presumably listen to what they have to say. Well, let's see what our authors here have to say about that, and we'll go from there. Hey, Lorraine, you there?
I'm there. Hello, Michael and Jeff and
Hey,
Dale.
how you doing? Let's see. Jeff, you there?
Yes, I am here. I need to tell you that I'm expecting a couple of important deliveries today. So I have my headset on, covering just one ear, and my other ear, I'm
No
listening
problem.
for the doorbell. So if I suddenly disappear, that's why.
No problem. No problem. And I got Dale. Let's see. He's right there. I see him. Dale, can you unmute yourself there? He's right there. Dale. He's right there. Dale. Unmute yourself, Dale. He's got himself muted. Anyway, I'm sure he'll get in. Uh, so, so how you guys been?
Well,
Good.
we're freezing here in Florida.
Oh my
Freezing.
gosh.
And what are we
Yes,
talking about when you
freezing.
say freezing?
Well, we woke up this morning, it was 42. So for us, that's freezing.
Yeah, I don't know about freezing, but it is cold for
It is
Florida. Yeah.
cold. It is cold.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeff? How's that going over there?
Oh, it's going really well. I don't know if I want to tell you one more time. It's a beautiful sunny day, but but there you have it.
There, Dale, how's it going over there in your neck of the woods?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. What you doing? Playing around with it? What are you doing?
No, no, no. There was an issue, but yes, we're getting plowed out, but they only did a half job, so I have to go out and shovel a mountain of snow because the
Oh,
Oh,
banks are so
no.
high. They'd push it up the bank and then it would fall right back down, and they were like, "Oh, that's good enough."
oh man.
Oh,
I know
my.
the friendly neighborhood weatherman over there in New Jersey. First, of course, the first thing you mentioned was he got his eggs, his bread, and his milk. That was the first
Good.
thing.
Yeah, that's the New
Good.
England trifecta right there. That and some Dunkin' iced coffee.
Anyway, so yeah, he was excited about that he got at least those three things, the most important things during his snow. So yeah, but you know that they got blasted. Yeah, that
They
they did.
did. They really did.
But my mother, who was over there, she says, yeah, but it started melting right away. So I guess
Oh,
that's a good
good.
thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Anyway, enough about that. Today, the topic, of course, is beta readers. Last week, I was like I told the audience, we talked about the difficult scene, and that was pretty cool. But beta readers, now that's another thing. And I know Lorraine, you brought that up, especially because they're reading your stuff. How's that going?
Well, I actually, I had four beta readers and everything was turned in. The manuscript is done. In fact, it's in the process of being edited now. But, I was going to say three good positive feedback and then one that was like, I'm not saying negative feedback about the story, but it's like, when you have a beta reader, I mean, I've used them for most of my books. A few of them I did not. I just went ahead and published them. But actually, you could be actually opening a Pandora's box if you're a person that just listens 100% to what a beta reader tells you to do. But, you kind of have to set some boundaries here because you need to make it clear that they're not editing your manuscript. This is not an edit. They're reading is a rough draft, and they're reading just to give feedback, to give suggestions and comments. So I had one person that just literally didn't do that. She just decided she was just going to fix grammar, but
Jeez.
but the other one did give really positive feedback. But like I said, you really need to set boundaries to them. Tell them, okay, I don't want you to mark up my manuscript. Don't want you to use track changes. Use a separate sheet. Give me comments. Give me it just like a reader would do. So you really need to set boundaries.
So Jeff, in this article, it says that one of the advantages is using beta readers is worthwhile, if not essential. What do you say?
Oh, I think the more, good readers that you get, whether it's in a critique group or beta readers, the better. But I would say probably in my experience is that maybe the critique group readers I would think are more important than beta readers. But I think beta readers can be incredibly helpful, though.
What say you, Dale?
Yes, beta readers are to screen out the stupid stuff.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there was I have a friend who was a programmer, and he wrote a book on debugging because he said nobody who writes code can debug their own stuff. You can't see the flaws in your own work if there are some, and he's absolutely right. And if you're a writer, you might not even know when somebody says, "Well, what about this?" So you don't ask them for a critique. You just say, "Did you stop reading or did you see something really dumb?"
Right.
And to catch that stuff and rewrite it before it goes to an editor saves you a bucket of money.
It sure
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It says here in the article, it says in some cases, people use beta readers because they couldn't afford a paid professional. Betas are seen as an alternative way to get an independent, impartial view of their work. What say you guys?
Well,
Sure.
I mean, I would never rely on just a beta reader. I mean, you have to have, I feel like you have to have a professional edit, content, copyright edit, content. But, like I said, I think beta readers, they're there, just like Dale said, am I missing something? Does it make sense? But, you can also have too many betas and they can actually confuse you. So I think there has to be a cap. Yeah, I usually go with four.
Yeah, beta readers are a preliminary step before it goes to a professional editor. You do not want to skip that last step. That is an expensive one, but is an absolutely critical, necessary one. But you use all the free sources of feedback you can. And again, not everybody's going to like your story. Like
True.
Lorraine said, if you send it out to
True.
100 people, 17 are going to say, well, I didn't like it. But you get a few select people who know the genre, know your style, know what you're writing about, and you just say, did you stop reading? Did you see anything that might be a problem that didn't make sense? That's it. That's all you do. And you don't have to take every suggestion, but you consider, did I do something here that I need to fix? That's all.
Right. Jeff, Lorraine mentioned a cap. So how many people should put eyes on your manuscript to read?
Oh, I think 4 is a very reasonable number. Yeah, you, they're kind of like a normal curve, in terms of where they are in with respect to your book, and you can get some negative feedback from one person and then nothing but positive from the other. So you need that balance. Or there's some people that just don't like certain genres.
That
I
is
know
true. That's
yeah,
true.
I have one book that it has some horror in it. And, there's some people just don't want to read it. And so they'll
Right.
become fairly negative. Whereas somebody who liked the horror in that particular book, they liked it. So you kind of have to know your beta reader, know where they're coming from.
That's true, Jeff, because one of my betas, she told me, she goes, well, I'm a children's author. I write children's books. I want to read your manuscript, but I normally don't read romance. But I'm like, well, why are you reading it? I think your beta reader needs to have an interest in your genre.
Absolutely. That's what I said. I would never send one of my scary things to my mystery beta readers and vice versa, or the science fiction or the nonfiction. They're completely separate. You have to have somebody that knows what they're doing and knows the tropes. They know the conventions of the genre. They know the style of how stories develop in that field. And if they don't, it's going to be a very limited value of, oh, you got 27 typos. It's
Right.
What it says here in the article, it says disadvantages. Using beta readers has its pitfalls and limitations. Problem can stem from an overabundance of feedback, a trap that writers can fall into when feedback is free. What say you guys?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think a lot of beta readers, want to read the manuscript. Oh, here's a free story. I'm going to read it. But like I said, you could get conflicting comments, or you can get people that, there might be something in there that just might set them off. Like, my latest one was, it's a mafia romance. And one of the betas just said, I just had to skip all the sex scenes and I'm like, well, what do you expect? It's a romance novel.
Yeah, you
What
got to
say
know
you,
what you're
Jeff?
getting. That's it.
Exactly, Dale.
Different strokes for different folks. And
Right.
that's why you vet your beta reader. You don't just throw it out to anybody. Your
Yeah,
beta reader should be carefully selected to give you critical feedback and just say, this is a problem for me as a reader of this genre and someone who reads a lot.
exactly.
Interesting. Says an interesting quote. It says, "Confusion and loss of focus will make the manuscript worse rather than better. If you get too many chefs in the kitchen, it can change the recipe, which is almost never the best solution." Which is what you guys are mentioning.
100%. I agree with that, Michael.
Yeah, just don't second guess yourself. You are the creator. You
Right.
know if the story works. They're there to just go, well, one aspect. And if one person says it, that's just one thing. If more than one person says it, now it's time to take a good hard look.
Interesting. Jeff, you there?
And yeah. I just had one of my deliveries. Hopefully,
I
I didn't
heard
unmute
all that
myself.
commotion. I thought you were in a little boxing thing there or something.
No, my headphones. I tried to put them on the desk here, and they fell off onto the floor. So you probably heard a lot of commotion.
So, what do you think
Um,
about that disadvantage?
um, so the disadvantage we're talking about, since I just got back from, what was the question or
All right,
the
the disadvantage
topic?
it says using beta readers has its pitfalls and limitations. Problems can stem from an overabundance of feedback, a trap that writers can fall into when feedback is free?
Oh, okay. Um, it goes back for me to knowing your beta reader. Like, for example, some people, I've read their books, and their sense of humor is different. There's some people that have a very gentle sense of humor, and then there's characters like me who, the humor's, I'm always going for outright laughter, from the reader,
Right.
and so you have to, so you have to be careful. It's like Dale says, you're the creator, and humor is a very hard thing to create. The timing is absolutely essential. So yeah, you got to be careful there with, if you do get negative feedback. But then again, sometimes I know uh, beta readers will point out things that I hadn't thought about, like, oh, maybe this could be taken in an offensive way. And I'll look at it and I'll go, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Right.
But
So how
so,
long how long do y'all think, like for a beta reader, how much tolerance would you give a beta reader when they're checking out your work? How much would you tolerate it when you finally decide, you know what, I'm going to go elsewhere. I've had enough of you. How much?
Yeah,
How was it?
I'd say if it's just plain wrong. I got feedback once. A person said, "Oh, you had the woman in your story fall for the bad boy. Oh, women don't like bad boys." And I just laughed. I said, "That's exactly who they go for."
Exactly. You don't.
That's what my wife went for, a bad boy. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
and that's just totally wrong. So you just negate it. Don't second guess yourself. You know what's right and what's wrong. If it sounds right, if it feels right in your gut, if they say something that's like, well, I don't quite think so.
yeah, I've had another thing is I've had beta readers sort of begin to write my book for me. They thought,
Oh my
well, you
God.
should,
Oh,
this is
whoa.
what you need. You need a scene where, so and so somehow gets transported to the moon and meets an alien. And I'm just like,
Oh, wow.
no, I don't think so.
Interesting. It goes when it says, because feedback from beta readers doesn't reflect knowledge of the writing craft, it may lack the specificity necessary for it to be actionable. What say you guys?
I agree. I totally agree. And a lot of times, people can be very opinionated. So if you get a beta reader that's extremely opinionated, they're going to want your story to reflect their opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
you
wrong.
don't write by committee.
No,
Yeah.
no,
You write as an individual artist.
You don't write
exactly,
by committee.
Yeah.
exactly.
I've had
It
a
says
lot
here,
of,
it says, most people use a variety of beta readers, both writers and non-writers. Responses fell into three distinct camps: readers only, writers only, and it says when matters is just who, but when. Now, who would y'all pick out? A reader or a writer?
I would always say a reader because that's who you're writing for. You're writing for readers.
Yep, that's your audience.
Hmm.
yeah,
So you will have a. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think it's important to have a reader, but then again, if you can get a writer to read your stuff, they can be very valuable as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's another level. That's a critique.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
like they say, the beta readers are just for the dumb stuff. That's your
Exactly.
first level to screen things out. The critique from a fellow writer is far more in depth. And then the good editor who knows the genre and knows the style and doesn't try to rewrite you is the final say. And then once you've gotten through all those levels, you take one more look at it and go, okay, I think we're ready.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Exactly. And
Interesting.
I
It
think
says here
one
like
rule
for
is when I first started out, I was using my family members, and I'm not doing that again because
Oh
they don't
no.
they don't want to hurt your feelings. They just, oh, it's wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
buying
yeah,
Get people
yeah.
who don't care about your opinion.
it. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well, it
it's
says,
funny because I was
go
just
ahead,
going to
go
say
ahead.
it's funny because I've used my family members and my brothers. They don't seem to mind really tearing into me.
Oh man,
I don't think those guys are too worried about my
man.
emotions.
Oh man, hey, forget about it. Don't read it. Get out of here.
No, actually, I actually really do appreciate it. I don't get my feelings hurt. Although every once in a while I'll be kind of shocked. Like,
Yeah.
what?
What's the most
This
shocking thing?
whole
What's the most
scene
shocking thing
was
they ever say to
boring.
you? What's the most shocking thing they ever say to you?
Oh, they pointed to one brother of mine pointed to about 5 pages that I'd written, and he said, "Look, this is boring. I
Oh,
don't I don't like it, And that one, it's like you've invested all that energy in writing
right.
that, and so it took me a while to realize that he probably was right. It's kind of like the difference between somebody just critiquing your shirt versus somebody critiquing your lungs and your heart. It's like
Right.
one goes a lot deeper and is a lot harder to accept. But in the end, I did.
Yeah, Jeff
Oh,
is
did
right.
you?
I mean, saying it's boring, that's a reader comment, and
That's
that's
right.
valuable.
It
Okay,
is.
I don't want you to tell me what makes it better. I need to go and fix that because I need to make it not boring.
Not
Right.
boring.
Right. Right.
Boring is bad. You
Boring.
hear that
Boring is
from a
death.
reader,
Boring is
that is so
Boring is
bad.
absolute death for a writer.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. A
As
slow
Elmore
death.
Leonard said, leave out the parts that people skip.
Right. Right.
Now, how do you know? How do you know? Let's say you don't have a beta reader. How would you know? How would you know?
Yeah, if
Well,
you
that's
don't,
why you
how would
get
you
them.
know?
I don't
Mhm.
know how you get it. Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. So, what's the harshest critique you've ever had, Dale?
Okay, here's one perfect example. I had a character who is a former alcoholic, and he was drinking iced tea, and the person said, "Oh, so he's gay." I said, "What? So he's
Wow.
gay?
What was that? Spill my
Drinking
coffee.
iced tea makes you gay?" It was absolutely
Oh
ridiculous.
man.
So,
Wow.
Oh
Oh
my
man.
God.
Good Lord. Spill my
and that's the
coffee
kind
there.
of thing you easily ignore.
Jeez. Any Lorraine, you've had that kind of critique?
Yeah, it was a while back when I wrote one of my Native American supernatural thrillers,
Oh.
and we were living in we had lived in New Mexico, and it was no, I'm sorry, let's go back. It was the beginning of my trilogy, The Good Teacher, and she's on her way on the road to Santa Fe with her friend, and they encounter skinwalkers. And one of my beta readers said, there are no skinwalkers up there. And I actually,
Yes, there are.
I know, I didn't argue with him, but because I live there and I taught up there and I taught they don't call them reservations, they call them pueblos. I know for a fact they're out there. And she's like, no, they're only on Skinwalker Ranch in Nevada. So I stuck with what I knew with that one.
I
But
had
she was
a
adamant that there's no skinwalkers in New Mexico. And I'm like, okay, I'm
Wow.
going with what I know.
well, that's a thing too. I mean, you again going back to what Dale said. You're the creator. That's the world
Exactly.
you're creating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the worst feedback I got from a beta reader is when I first started writing, and my very first book, and I hadn't learned how to properly develop characters, and I thought the action in the book would carry it, the story, and I was pretty devastated when beta reader said, I just don't like your main character, and I
Oh,
don't even care what happens to them. And same with their wife. I don't care about any of them, that
Man.
just blew me away. But and this is why beta readers can be so important. But I really did some growing after that, and realize how absolutely it's essential character development is.
true.
Interesting.
But there are, and that brings me to one of my books too. I had one woman say, the girl's husband, she said, I just hated him. He was so mean to her. Well, that's how I created him. He was
Yeah.
That's the
supposed to
point.
be mean,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you
Yeah, I've
know?
had people say, "Oh, I love the romance between these two," and one other person says, "Oh, I hated that." No, they wouldn't
Yeah,
get together. It just, yeah, you can't please every
you
single reader.
cannot. You cannot.
It says here, now it says here again regarding readers only, please. It says some people only use readers, never fellow writers, because they felt that readers were more authentic, representative, and jargon free. How do you guys feel about that description?
I think once they try, including somebody that's a writer in reading it, I think they'll realize that maybe they're restricting themselves too much.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too, Jeff.
Yep,
Interesting.
absolutely. Again, you will want to get a good critique at a higher level, but I
Right.
mean, including a writer or two in your beta, as long as you've vetted them and you've seen what they will do and the kind of feedback you're going to get. Again, you don't have to use them more than once if they don't work out. So there you go. Just get
Yeah,
them to catch and
exactly.
say, yeah, this, as a writer, I say this does not work. And you go, okay, let me consider.
Right. And
How
I
much
think,
experience should a beta reader have before you hire him or her to read your work,
well,
Benny?
I think they've at least done beta work prior to. I think if you get a newbie, they're going to possibly not know what you want. So I would say probably they've have to have some experience.
Now, are we talking
Mhm.
about months or years?
I'd probably say maybe a year or two.
They get one shot.
Yeah,
Was,
really.
And you say very specifically the kind of feedback you want, lay it
Right.
out very specifically, and if it does not come back that way, you move on to the next one.
yeah.
That's
I
right.
see ya.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, like
Sorry,
I
I
said,
haven't got time
boundaries.
for amateurs.
No,
Yeah.
you have to set boundaries or you're not going to get what you want.
What say you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much true. And sometimes, though, like you were just saying, I'll make it very clear what I'm looking for. So I've had very good results with readers who I ask, I just want to see the big picture. Don't worry about editing anything, don't
Right.
worry about sentence
Right.
structure. Does the story flow? Does it keep your interest? Was it enjoyable? What flaws maybe, or did you find, or threads that I never tied up by the end? And those readers were incredibly valuable. And I guess more the editing at the paragraph level. It's more. I get that more from critique groups.
Interesting. It says here regarding the writers only, it says, please. Other people were equally adamant that they preferred to use fellow writers whom they consider better equipped to spot and articulate specific plot, pacing, and character issues. Civilian readers don't catch snafus like we do. What say you guys? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think you need a balance. Like I said, I go for more readers, but usually, well, this time I got a real professional writer in there, and she did give me some really good, feedback. So I think you just need a good balance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
What say
using a
you guys?
different set of filters. The beta readers are your first filter, again, to catch the big things. Then your writer, workshop, critique group catch the minutia, and then your proofreader, editor catches anything that remains, the fine granularity.
Exactly, Dale. Yes.
yeah. Maybe it's because I have a background in statistics, but it's very important to think of your beta readers as a sample from the population, and you don't want to get, say, all one type of reader. You know, you statistically you're going to have a better result if you get different types of people that like this, people that like that, people that are much more sophisticated in terms of writing, people that are just pure readers, and so on.
Interesting. It says here, what matters isn't just who, but when. Different kinds of beta readers are useful at different points in the process. What say you guys?
Well, since
Yeah.
beta readers are your first screen, that's all you use them for. You don't get them afterwards unless you're like, not really sure. I got a different kind of novel here, and I'm not really sure what it is and if it appeals to people. I mean, if you're at that level of confusion, then sure, throw it out to a couple of people and see what they think. But other than that, they're just a first level screen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Dale. It's your first filter.
So, is it fair to say that is it better to use them in the early draft or at when the manuscript is completed?
The manuscript is completed. There's no point in having a beta reader.
Yeah,
Right.
and if you never have a beta reader, you may think your manuscript is completed,
Well,
but
that's why you have them at the
That's
start.
true.
right, exactly.
If you're building a house, first you put down a foundation. You don't think of it as an afterthought and try to add it on after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a friend, well, she was on Facebook, and she said that, she had paid, so much money into editing, and then she did beta readers, and she was like, "Oh my
What?
God, now I have to rewrite." I mean, so she learned the hard way.
Yep, that's paying for an education.
It is pain, very much painful.
So it's best for beta readers to replace an editor first.
Oh gosh,
Which
no.
is more important?
No,
Which is
no,
more
no.
important, the editor or the beta reader?
I would probably say, well, both. The beta reader is first going to be your first screen, and then you adjust whatever, but then your editor is going to check your content, your grammar, and all that.
Yep,
Mhm,
like we've been saying. Yep, different levels,
Yep,
all
mhm.
necessary. You don't leave out parts of the process just because you want to skip it.
exactly.
Right.
It says takeaways here. It says know and communicate what you want from the beta readers, which a lot of you guys mentioned. That may be different and different points in the writing process. Y'all agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I pretty much agree.
It says here seek diversity of backgrounds and viewpoints. Depending on your aim, sometimes you want a heterogeneous group of readers, and sometimes you want someone specific. Think about what you need before you ask. What say you guys?
Very true. You might even want a diversity reader to give it a first screen. If you're doing something from a person from another gender, another race, another ethnicity,
Right. Right.
whatever, you want that diversity reader in there first to screen out the
Mhm.
stupid stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dale. Yes. Stupid stuff.
That's interesting because finding a beta reader that say never lived in the urban community, how would they know, right? When it comes to a certain word, certain, that would be
Yeah.
tough, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How would they know skinwalkers aren't just in Nevada?
Exactly.
My big thing is a lot of my books deal with the theme is coming of age,
Hmm.
so they deal with a sophomore or a junior in high school, and I'm always reaching out to people that are young, to figure out, well, what music do you listen to,
Oh, that's a great point, Chip.
Very good. Very good
Yeah,
point there,
that's
Jeff.
great.
yeah,
Yes.
and what expressions are used nowadays? For me, everything is cool. That's
Mhm.
cool, but
Yeah,
it's like
showing our age here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they speak completely differently. A while,
They
it took me a
do.
while to understand. Like for example, and this is probably already outdated, but they would go word. And I go, well, what's the word? And they go, no, it's just word. That means you have something to say, and it's going to be a word. So instead, you just say word.
I'm going to
It's
drop
like,
some knowledge on you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a form of acknowledgement that they're listening to what you're saying, and so they don't have anything particular to say, but they want to connect, so they just say word.
That is a good one. I
Affirmation
haven't heard
that you
that
said
one
the truth.
before.
Yeah.
You guys ever had a clash between two beta readers? One reads, this kind of action, one reads this kind of, and they're just clashing, and you're like, it's driving you nuts because you don't know who to trust, who should you follow? You know what I mean? You ever had that?
Yeah, I sort of did. Like I said, one of my books was because the one lady didn't like the main character's husband. She thought he was kind of wasn't physically abusive, but he was verbally abusive. And the other one said no because it's the reason that she left him. But yeah, but that was about the extent of it. But I've never really had beta readers, argue between each other.
Oh yeah, I had a bad guy, and one person said we want to see more of that, and the other
Oh,
person said kill him off.
Okay. So how did you fix that? How did you end up? How did that work out?
Well, I'm the
Who do you
creator,
who
and
do
I
you listen
decide
to?
where the story goes. I mean, I
that's
can
right.
always create more villains.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, if you write a book that's pushing the envelope a little bit, you're going to get some pushback. Like I have a book that's still being edited where the bad guy is really bad. And almost, well, to the point where, to be honest with you, I'm a little uncomfortable writing about him,
Oh
because he
my.
is
Good,
so
good.
bad.
That's where the
But,
Oh,
good stuff
good.
comes from,
and,
Jeff.
yeah, and I will get some negative feedback about it. And but then I'll hear another reader say, "Man, that bad guy is really interesting." And so it's sort of like the more you push the envelope, the more your readers are going to be pulled into two directions. I think one just doesn't like it or doesn't understand it, and the other really gets into it.
Yeah,
One
you
name,
piqued my
Jeff. One name
interest.
for you. Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff, you piqued
yeah,
my interest. Now I want to read about this character.
Yeah.
yeah. This guy is, well, no, he doesn't eat his fellow human beings, but yeah, he's the ultimate manipulator, and just doesn't seem to have much goodness in him. He's
Mhm.
constantly trying to hurt people, but he's a little bit off his rocker because he thinks he's actually doing good because he's toughening them up.
Right. He does not think he's the bad guy. And
Right.
that's how you have to portray people in your books. they don't think of themselves as evil. They don't think of
Right.
themselves as doing wrong, and they don't see the destruction and evil that follows in their wake as a bad
Right.
thing.
That's true,
Right.
Dale.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So another point, last point here says, regardless of whether you also use a paid professional, beta readers can serve a vital role as a test audience. Just remember the difference between asking for someone's experience and asking for their expertise.
Yep, think of them as like a focus group. It's like, do
Mhm.
you like this ice cream? That's it. Do you like it? And people go, oh yeah, I like it. I don't think I do. And
Yeah.
then if you can get more feedback after that point of what I don't like coconut, what's wrong? The
Right.
color, the flavor, the smell. What is that? It's kind of like a very first level focus group to just screen out and save you a lot of money downstream.
True. And I have seen when I was searching for my betas, there are people that do it professionally. They charge money. And I've never paid for anybody.
No, that's what an editor's for.
Exactly. But there are
So,
artists that charge
so that's a
money.
good point that you bring up. Should you pay a beta reader?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't.
That's
Jeff?
silly. It's just
I don't
plain
know.
silly. That's a first level screener.
Yeah, I don't know. I get a little desperate sometimes. Like, you know, you
Jeff,
you
Jeff, make more
you
friends.
Yeah, a little
yeah,
desperate.
right, right.
Jeff, you can pay me. I'll read it.
Really? Ah,
The problem is writers sit in front of their computer or whatever, or if they're writing by hand, and it's an activity you do by yourself. So you don't sometimes have as much time to go out and socialize and make friends that'll be beta readers. So I do stuff like I always take them to lunch, and then while
Yeah,
we're
that's a good, yeah, that's an option.
and during lunch we just have a casual conversation about what they that found and what parts they liked, what parts they didn't. But I have to admit, there's been times when I've gone to the well too many times. My normal beta readers just
Yeah.
kind of like, no, no, I don't think so this time. And so I have offered to pay people.
and
Oh
here's a
man.
point. Always make sure to mention people that helped you in your manuscript in the acknowledgments, whether
Oh,
they're
Oh,
yeah.
beta
that's a good
readers,
point,
critiquers,
Dale.
Yeah,
editors, whatever.
That's a
Give
good
them the
point
thanks that they deserve.
Yeah.
that's
Big
pretty
because
cool.
time.
they took a lot of time, especially if you've got a big word count.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another thing, speaking of sticking stuff into your manuscript, I've managed to be pretty good about the acknowledgments. But this last book that I published, A Giant Tale, I just completely forgot to put in a little note from the author that says, please, give a review of the
Mhm.
book. Honest if you liked it or what you didn't like, and because that's so important.
Yeah,
Like,
so just do a new version, Jeff, and put it out. Yeah,
yeah,
reprint it, yeah, send out a new ebook, and there you go. Done and done.
Right.
yeah, you're right. I need to do that.
That's interesting. I myself couldn't find the energy or the motivation to read somebody else's work and to tell them, hey, yeah, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. Can you guys do that?
I usually charge, but I give more like the writer critique of it. But I will say, no, I don't usually read somebody else's book because I have so much of my own, and taking
Right.
time to do your stuff costs me money, unless it's a good friend that I value, and I will do it just to give them some feedback. But they have to be in a very small select crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done quite a few arc readings.
How about
Yeah,
you, Jeff?
I not as much. Um, I did try reading one person's book, And to be honest with you, I couldn't get through it. It had so many problems.
So what did you do, Jeff? Did you tell the writer the truth?
No, he ghosted him.
We paid them. We
No,
paid them. Here you go.
no, they didn't ask me to read it. I just wanted to be supportive. So
Uh,
I wasn't obligated to give them, my opinions, but I don't tell them in this case, that,
Right.
wow, it was so messed up in the early chapters.
Wow.
I just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, that's true, Jeff. I see a number of things like that. I just don't tell the person because they're going to hear it from everybody else. They
Hmm.
don't need,
Yeah.
me to tell them the bad news because if it's that bad, they're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could never do that. I just no. Like no, like I said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Yep.
yeah, do you
Yeah.
agree that the chances of you losing a good relationship, friendship, whatnot, are high if that happens,
They
right?
are.
Yep. Absolutely. People do not want to hear bad news.
No, they don't.
Mhm.
Even if
And
you just want
this
to
is
be
your
honest.
baby. Do you go up to people in the park and say, "Hey, your baby's ugly"?
Not lately.
Well,
No, no.
I did it once. That was the last time.
You did it once.
And that was to your wife. Wait.
You did it once. Well, what kind of book was it, Jeff?
Oh no, it was a baby. No, I was just joking. I never went up and did that. Although once I did go to somebody's house and they had a baby, and after we left, I said, "What was wrong with that baby?" And
That
I was
bad,
the
huh?
only one that saw anything wrong. There wasn't
Oh
anything wrong.
man, Jeff, you're a trip, man. You're a trip. All right. Well, any final advice for new writers, authors out there? Any final advice
Well, I
about
would just say,
regarding
I
beta?
think it's really important what Dale said. Let the beta readers be your first filter. And it should be something that's just, they're not editing and make sure when you contact them, set boundaries that this is what you want point blank.
Yep, absolutely. As a professional, you got to understand the different levels. I mean, if you're a tennis pro, you have a physical therapist telling you one thing, you have a coach telling you something else, you have your parents telling you something, and you have the person running the tournament. They might be telling you different things. Understand what each piece of feedback means and what it means to you and how you need to move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but
I
I
think we've
uh,
established that, Jeff.
I groom my beta readers.
Oh,
I make
oh,
sure
mm.
He
that
wines and
they
dines them.
well I the thing is as I let them know that what's valuable to me
Hmm.
are mistakes they find or things that aren't working. And if
Right.
something's working beautifully, well, it's nice to hear, but I make sure they understand that. And it used to be, I used to be an oil painter, uh, and family members, their reaction when I'd ask them what they think of the painting, they would come back with, "Well, I've never really studied painting," or they'll just be nice and they won't want to say anything negative. And I'd groom them. I'd just say, I would try to get it out of them. I said, "Well, I'm worried about something's maybe not working in this painting." And after a while, they trust you and they realize, no, that's really, really what you want to hear. And
Manipulator.
it's incredibly valuable
Yeah, watch
to
out for
to
Jeff. Yeah, watch
have.
out for Jeff. Yeah, watch out for Jeff. Yeah. Watch out for Jeff. You guys are great. Great show. Great responses, and wow, it's been pretty cool. Anything? You guys doing anything out there? Any projects, real quick? You got to mention?
Yes, I'm having another chat tonight with James Patrick Kelly, the noted science fiction writer. for the Tewksbury Library.
All
That
right.
if you go to Tewksbury Library, you can see the event for tonight's show at 7 o'clock,
Oh,
and we
that's
talk about his
exciting.
work and his influences and what's important and any advice to writers he might want to give.
Oh, that's exciting, Dale.
What is his name again, Dale?
What is it?
James Patrick Kelly,
James Patrick Kelly.
and I'll do Tewksbury Library so you can go to that site and find the info and the link there to sign
I
in.
see it in the chat. Thank you,
Yeah,
James.
these are so much fun because I mean, I'm the booker, so I get the best guests, and we just go through and find out their villain origin story and how they got any problems they encounter in writing, just like this, and what they suggest for new writers to do.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Anything for you?
suggestion.
You got Jeff? Anything for you? Anything? Anything happening
Who are you
besides
asking?
grooming? Anything, Jeff?
I was just going to say, as far as advice for writers, is just write. Just keep at it. If you love expressing yourself that way, you'll stick at it and stick to it, and you'll be amazed how you will begin to grow, and it becomes more and more familiar to you, and the problems you begin to develop solutions to. But more than anything else, just keep writing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. Well, guys, it's been an interesting show. You guys are fantastic. I'm gonna see if we can do this again. What say you guys?
I love it. I think this is a great panel. Thank you, Jeff, Dale, and thank you, Michael, for having me.
Yeah,
Yes,
You're
I
thank,
believe it has value. So
I do too.
Yeah, that it does. Yes,
yeah,
it does. I really enjoy it.
All
me
right.
too.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Goodbye,
Yeah, have a good one,
everybody.
guys.
Ciao.
All right, cool. Have a great one. Wow, Dale Phillips, Jeff Otis, and Lorraine Carey. Man, you guys are great. I really enjoy it. And hey, Dale,
yes,
how many cups of coffee you had today?
only the one.
Only the one.
Yeah, yeah. I had so much to do today. I haven't had time for a second cup.
Gotcha. I have four. I might go for number five. I don't know,
Woo!
man. But
I worked with a guy who had 28 shots of caffeine, and he said his
Woo.
wife was a nurse and said it didn't hurt him at all. And I go, whoa.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. That's a bit. I need to stop. I need to slow down. Yeah. Too much coffee. Anyway, well, have a good one, Dale, and I'll definitely bring you back.
Okay,
All right,
talk to
have
you
a
all
good one.
later.
All right. Wow, great show. I really enjoyed the topic. Great insight. They know their stuff. They've been doing this for a long time. So yeah, they definitely know what they're talking about. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, compared to them, I haven't had any beta readers, believe it or not. Maybe I should start using it. I just write, and hope for the best. Hopefully, readers out there will give me some good feedback. That's where I get my information from the readers out there. But I've never had a beta reader. Maybe I'll start that. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, it's been a great show. Was a great show. And definitely want to thank everyone out there for listening. I want to thank Jeff Otis, Dale Phillips, and Lorraine Carey for coming in, chiming in, and you know, giving us their insight, their expertise in the matter, if you will. And I really enjoyed it. Anyway, you know what I say. Have a great day. Enjoy this beautiful Tuesday, and don't forget your coffee. Have a good one.